Everybody, welcome back. In this video, we're going to pick the truck that almost all of you voted on to get resurrected. And I worked up these sketches yesterday, put it on Twitter and Instagram, and this, number 2, was the truck that many of you chose for me to go back and draw. So that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to go ahead and ink it up, color it, and you get to watch it. So first what we'll do is we'll just scale this guy up so we have some room to work. First thing I always do with my pencil sketch is I always drop the opacity. V followed by a number like 3 makes it 30% opaque. I'm going to hit the X key so I can get my black ink out. And yeah, let's go ahead and do this. We'll do this in some kind of real-time experiment. You're going to see me hit undo a lot. Oh, that's okay. I'm not a super precious inker. I like to draw, and I like to draw fast. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of it boils down to the amount of time that I have available to draw nowadays. I usually try to draw in the evening, kind of as a cool down sketch. The R key rotates your canvas. If you're new to this channel, you can see and study the brush that I've made here. It's a custom brush. I call it a square brush because I used a square shape to make it. You can steal that brush. As long as you don't sell it, you can use it for your own stuff. And there is a video. If you go back through the playlist, you will see it. And if you use it, let me know. You can tag me on the social media, Instagram and Twitter, what I pretty much use. And you can show me what you've actually created. I'd always like to see that stuff. Nearly every vehicle can be created from a box. I don't care if it's a Volkswagen Beetle. Everything can be created from a box. That's why it's really important to know how to draw, boxes in 2-point perspective. I'm rotating this canvas using the R key because it's much easier for me to draw lines when I'm not fighting gravity. So rotating it makes it a lot simpler for me to draw. And I'm not using any kind of, head stylus or anything like that for this one. I'm just going to keep it raw and real. Because sometimes you got to do that. so we got the body basically in there. I like to draw the wheels in a separate layer just because it allows me the affordance, in case I mess up, which I probably will, to go back and redraw. And again, I could use a template for this. I'm going to try my best not to. Command Z is your friend. Somehow I switched to black there. Let's go draw some shadows. Let's hide our pencils layer. And we'll fill in our solid black fills. With this, you want to make sure you close all your gaps. I'm adding these little dots here to kind of give it a little bit of a worn look. I'm also adding a little bit of dimension to this grill. What do you find challenging about drawing vehicles and cars? Let me know in the comments. What was the one video that you've seen on my channel that helped you the most? It's kind of difficult to gauge these things just through analytics and stuff like that, so definitely send me some feedback. How often do you draw? I try to make it a goal to draw once a day. Doesn't always happen, but you know, I do my best. I don't beat myself up if I can't, but try to draw at least, you know, once a day, if not once every other day. All right, so we've got our inks. I'm just going to kind of zoom around here and see if there's any open areas, gaps, that sort of thing. Thinking about material. These are bumpers, they're going to be shiny. Make my brush a little bit bigger. Alright, so I've got this truck, and there might be some other little doodads, like a little hook, you know, other things that are kind of hidden from view. Okay, let's do some final cleanup. All right, so we've got the inks in. What I'll do now is I'll make a new layer underneath with my magic wand tool and my tolerance set to about 70. Sample all layers and contiguous both turned on. I will select everything outside of the truck to ensure that there are no gaps. Then I'll inverse the selection by hitting Shift Command I. And I will fill this in with a color. I'll start off with just a base color here. And this base color exists on its own layer. I'll first start with the tires. I'm using a combination of my different selection tools to make the selection on the tires. If I hit Command J, Command U, I can make it darker. Make these gray. Pro tip, let's say you have a bunch of like lines that are making it difficult to select everything at once. What you can do is go back to your base layer, cover that entire shape, and now you can hit Command J, Command U, desat it, make it darker. So if you've got something that's got a lot of detail, I'll make it a little bit darker to give it a little bit more contrast from the tire itself. Do the same thing over here. And because I'm not worried about making these selections a little bit looser. They're going to be obscure. The tires are going to cover up the values on the wheel. So I'll just duplicate that. Let that pop. Do a little bit of color. And usually whatever I don't get, I come back in with my brush. I handle it that way. So if I have to do a more complex shape selection because I have some gaps here that I did not fill, I'm going to use my pen tool. Pen tool allows for precision. Then I can convert that to a selection. It's a little bit uneven here. Just fix that real quick. Now let's get the grill. I want that bright orange. Let's make that white. Fill the colors in for the lights. And we've got these little areas here, these little pockets. Get steps. These are like the little footrests or something to climb up into the cabin. One thing I'll say is don't be so precious about drawing something and to, you know, try to make it perfect. Sometimes you just have a little bit of time to get something done, and that's okay. You know, for me, the idea and the pleasure of drawing means that sometimes I do have to move a little bit faster, because if I want to draw that day, I have to create something within a short enough period of time. And I don't feel guilty about that. Okay, so I've got this truck. Basically, I have my color flats in place here. Now what I want to do is I want to take all those color flats. I have just a few more areas here that I do want to select. So now if I were to hide my base color layer, there's just a few areas that I'm missing here, but that's okay. I'm fine with that. Let's now take these layers and merge them. We'll take all the layers, we'll merge them down together. So basically we have our inks, and then we have our color flats. And so now let me consider where the light source might be coming from here. Let's add some dimension to these wheels. Again, pen tool. You don't have to close gaps. It does make things easier when you're using something like the Magic Wand tool to make your selections, but that's, you know, neither here nor there. Sometimes I have to, you know, it's just faster for me to work this way without closing all the gaps. A little contrast check. Okay. Let's see. What can we do now? Do you want to add some chrome and some shiny stuff to the wheels? So I'll go ahead and do that here. Just a little bit of an accent. I'll do one up there. I want to give this guy some white walls. To switch between the different selection tools, you just have to hit the Shift and the L key. Do trucks have white walls? I don't know. Probably not. I thought it would look interesting. Let me just try one more thing. Yeah, that looks kind of cool. We can work with that. Okay, so I've got my color flats in, and I've got some highlights, I've got some shading. Let's go ahead and give it a little bit of texture. So we can kind of give this a little bit more of a rustic type look, and I'm going to select a texture that is going to be somewhat rusty here, and I'll pull this up here in a minute. Let's bring this in. This one actually has some cracks and other interesting things, right? So if we want to use that texture and not have it spill out all over the place, what I can do is I can command click the layer that contains all of my color flats, command Shift I, inverse the selection, and hit Command J, and I can hide the original texture layer. Whoops, I did that backwards, didn't I? So let's see. Make the selection, Command J. I did not need to inverse the selection. So now I've got this thing, it looks like it's got some scratches and scrapes. Probably doesn't make sense to have that on the tire, so I'm just going to get rid of it over there. But the rest of it I think looks fine. This looks like a smiley face, so I'll just go ahead and get rid of that. I can. There we go. And so now I've got this aged look. Having a collection of high resolution textures, super helpful. Give that a try. And then just to kind of give it a little bit more of a feel of pop, what we'll do is we'll just put a rectangular structure. We'll pick a complementary color. We'll desaturate it. We'll play with the hue. We'll do a grayscale check. And we've got it. So I hope you found this video to be useful. This is a little fun exercise. If you haven't already, you can follow me on Instagram at Krishna Draws. You can also follow me on Twitter at PC Weenies. As always, appreciate the subs, appreciate the comments. Let's interact more. Tell me more about what you want to see here and give me some feedback. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.